taught never to retreat, never to surrender, taught that death on the battlefield in service to Sparta was the greatest glory he could achieve in his life.
Welcome to Now Playing Podcast's 300 Movie Retrospective Series.
This is Sparta!
Hosted by Arnie.
From the time he could stand, he was baptized in the fire of combat.
Stuart.
The God of gods, King of kings.
And Jacob.
If he'd been small or puny, or sickly or misshapen, he would have been discarded.
But be warned, this episode will contain detailed plot spoilers and strong language.
Look deep into your souls, for your metal is to be tested this day.
We hope you enjoy the show.
Spartans! Prepare for glory!
Today we're discussing 300 Rise of an Empire, starring Sullivan Stapleton, Eva Green, Lena Headey, Hans Matherson, Rodrigo Santoro, directed by Noam Murrow. This is Arnie, co-host of Now Playing, and I choose to podcast here, now.
No more of these kinds of movies, please. This is Stuart.
And this is the co-host who podcasts harder than he fucks, Jacob.
I'm not sure what that means. I feel like you podcast pretty hard.
So welcome back to the 300 retrospective series. I knew there was a sequel movie out there. I never had any interest in seeing it. What I didn't know until I was researching this movie is that it's based on a sequel comic, Xerxes the Comic by Frank Miller.
Oh, call it by its full name, Xerxes, The Fall of the House of Darius and the Rise of Alexander, which finally came out in 2018, 4 years after this 2014 movie. But I remember at the time, Dark Horse would release all this Frank Miller stuff. They're the ones who published 300 and Xerxes with that full title. But they had Dark Horse Presents, which was an anthology series. And I remember buying the first issue because it's like, it's going to have a preview of Frank Miller's Xerxes story it's going to be coming out just around the corner. 7 years later, that book finally came out.
Okay, so 7 years after the movie, we get the sequel movie, and then 4 years after that, we get the thing the movie was based on. Look, it's not based on it. I picked up this comic. I tried to read this comic. I don't know what I read.
You cannot read this. No, it is so bad. It is like, here's some random illustrated Wikipedia articles from different points in time. Like, you get Xerxes and the story of Esther and the backstory of Purim, the Jewish festival holiday. Like, I don't know why that's in this book.
Let's underline this. It's called Xerxes, and he's in maybe 2 panels, and then, disappears.
He dies, and we don't know how. It's like, oh, maybe he got stabbed. Maybe he was poisoned. Who knows?
Yes, off screen. Right, because it's not about him. It jumps hundreds of years around in time. I had no focus that I could tell whatsoever. I could not believe it. Truly terrified me that anything would try to be based on this. So I'm actually relieved to know that the comic came after the movie because, yeah, you don't want to make a movie out of that comic.
Like, the first 4 pages are the beginning of this film, and then it goes in a very different direction.
Wow. Yeah, okay, so you agree with me. It's horrible.
Oh, it's awful. The art is awful. The story is nonsensical. I don't even know how Xerxes became Xerxes. He wrapped himself up like a mummy, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to know. It actually made me not want to know history. Like, I want to be ignorant.
It is that bad.
I'm like, get him away from me. Get away from my eyes. Get him away from my brain. It hurts me. But yeah, look, I'm not the 300 fan. As already documented by last week's show, of course I didn't find this movie. It felt like this offensive relic of the Bush era. I don't want no sequel. And the interesting thing is, by the time this thing comes out 7 years later, we're well into Obama's second term, and nobody's really talking about, Gulf War or any of that stuff.
Yeah, I thought 300 had its moment when that first film came out. Like, who was thinking about this in 2014? I forgot this came out, because I know it's been brought up, on the schedule. Should we do it? I'm like, oh, is that movie coming out soon? You're like, no, it came out last year. I'm like, oh, I kept forgetting this film was ever released.
Yeah, and it's at the tail end of the whole trend. I mean, if Gladiator kicked off Swords and Sandals films, this is probably the one that, brought the curtain down. Like, I mean, we're past Clash of the Titans and Wrath of the Titans.
Ugh, both bad.
We've had 2 failed Hercules, a failed Conan reboot. Henry Cavill had tried to be an immortal, and that didn't work. Like, we were done with dudes in togas, it just felt like, in 2014.
What's funny is you doing that just brings me back to that time where it's like, are we doing a Conan retrospective? There's a new Conan movie coming out. All of those films you listed were all bandied about for now playing retrospectives back then.
Hot properties. Yeah. And so hot that Zack Snyder couldn't be bothered. We have an almost complete unknown in this director's chair because Zack Snyder by this point is helming the DC universe.
Yeah, he was thinking he was going to come back for this, but then Man of Steel had a scheduling conflict, and if you're going to do a sequel to your 300 hit or be the maestro of an entire comic book universe, I think you go be that maestro of the universe, even if it didn't work out so well, despite what half the Twitterverse seems to think.
Right. His name is still on the script, but yes, he is not in the director's chair.
He was actively involved. I did watch what bonus features came on the Blu-ray. He was an active producer of this film. He definitely contributed not just to the script, but to the overall production.
Yeah, I only recognize like 2 of those names you said at the beginning, Arnie. Like, I don't know this director. I don't know most of the people in this movie.
Yeah, so this is wild. Like, No Moro sounds like a fake name, right? That sounds like I'm changing my name.
Is that the new Alan Smithy?
Yeah, I'm pulling my credit off of this. I don't want nobody to know I made this. And yeah, I know you can't bring Gerard back, although at this point in his career, he'd probably be happy to be the ghost of his former self. But yeah, who are these people? And my memory was, this was an absolute total flop that everyone ignored. I was shocked to know that this thing made $100 million here in America.
What?
Yeah.
100 million American, over 300 million worldwide against a $100 million budget. This was moderately successful.
Yeah, right. It cost about $100 million. It made that in the U.S. It had to fight for the #1 slot with a Mr. Peabody and Sherman movie I also didn't know anyone saw.
Oh, the CGI animated one? Jeez.
Yes. I must have just been like asleep this year because all these things were hits that I'm like, I wouldn't have thought anyone cared. But yes.
I haven't seen that one either.
There was still love for this property. It made 100 less than the first movie, but nothing to scoff at. I mean, honestly, they could make another one. They could continue on this trend. It feels like I would use the word hit. They had a hit.
Well, we'll talk about what ideas Zack Snyder has for continuing the franchise at the end of this podcast, but I didn't realize this was a hit. I didn't hear much about it. I remember seeing some trailers, then it just kind of went away, and I didn't even know what this was going to be about. I remember just seeing a little bit of stuff beforehand that it was like going to be a prequel and a sequel. What they call this in the bonus features is an equal. Because it's taking place at the same time from a different point of view.
Yeah, the first thing I wrote down when I realized what this was, and look, you guys don't have kids. I don't think you're big Disney fans. You probably haven't seen The Lion King 1.5, but that's about Timon and Pumbaa. What they're doing, if you just turn your head like 45 degrees to the left or right, that's what's going on during The Lion King. It takes those bits. And so like, that's what this is. If you like, just look the other way during the battle at the Hot Gates, you could see the ships in the distance fighting.
Well, let's take this back to where it goes. That sounds to me like Disney ripped off Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, which is about the Hamlet minor characters and making them the protagonists of their own sidequel going on.
I'm sure they don't do much original, so sure.
Yeah, but when you're talking about the side characters from last time, you're talking about the one-eyed dude that got away and the wife.
Queen Gorgo.
Yeah, Gorgo and the one-eyed dude and that bald guy that ran away and didn't fight at the Hot Gates. It's not Timon and Pumbaa, can I just say, doesn't have the same charm. They're stuck. Particularly when you read that comic, you'd think...
There's nothing there.
There's no movie in this, so it actually was a relief when I sat down and watched this and realized that, yes, they did the logical thing. We're going to have a rematch with Xerxes with some other dudes that work out a lot and barely wear clothes. Yeah, the first act is a prequel, the second act is an equal, and the third act is the sequel that I thought the whole movie would be. But in order to talk about that, Arnie, why don't you give him the plot?
While Leonidas and his 300 Spartans were fighting the Persians in the Battle of Thermopylae, the Athenians were staving off the Persians by sea. The Athenian hero is Themistocles, played by Sullivan Stapleton. 10 years prior, during the Persians' previous attack, Themistocles fired an arrow that killed Persian King Darius. Not historically accurate, by the way.
Shocker.
This death was witnessed by Xerxes, the man who would become the next Persian king, played again by Rodrigo Santoro. Xerxes went on a journey to become the pierced, hairless god king we saw in the first film. We find out he did that at the urging of Persian naval commander and Greek traitor Artemisia, played by Eva Green. Xerxes declares war on Greece to avenge his father, and his forces advance by land while Artemisia leads a large fleet of ships. Themistocles only has 50 ships to stave off the Persian attack, and he starts by ramming the enemy ships, sinking several.
What a genius. I love that. They're like, look at his military genius. He runs into us.
Then the Greeks draw the Persians into a trap and kill even more of the enemy. Artemisia has a meeting with Themistocles, and she tries to seduce him into joining the Persians, but he refuses. The sea battle continues, and the Persians gain the upper hand. Many Athenians are killed, and Themistocles is left with only half a dozen vessels. Themistocles retreats and finds the news that Leonidas and his men are dead. He tries to rally the Spartans to join the attack and avenge their fallen leader. Artemisia prepares another naval assault, and Themistocles' remaining forces engage. The battle seems lost until the Spartans and other Greek forces arrive to join the fight against the Persians. Artemisia and Themistocles have a sword fight, which Themistocles wins, killing the Persian commander. And the Greeks head into their victorious battle against the Persians as credits roll.
As we start, just in case you forgot, again, 7 years, we begin with that image of Leonidas and his 300 Spartans looking like some kind of fresco, the tableau of blood that is up there on screen. And suddenly Xerxes walks over on his horse, chops off the head, and Athens is burning. It looks like, hey, what was all of that for? I thought the ending of that movie told us it was like a happy ending. It was victory, but no.
It was supposed to stop them for like a year so they could get reinforcements.
Right.
But no, they just kept going.
Women are being raped, cathedrals are crumbling, it just feels like absolute chaos and apocalypse. But somehow, all of this is a rise of an empire. That's what the title card will tell us. And then we get a whole lot of talking from Queen Gorgo to try and orientate us on why all this was. She is going to narrate a prequel in which we understand why Xerxes wanted to get the Greeks so bad.
Yeah, Lena Headey, one of the few returning actors from the previous one. By this point, she would have been very well known for Game of Thrones. That started like 3 years earlier, and she was one of the major stars of that. So it's almost surprising they didn't center an entire sequel specifically around her. I think she has less screen time in this film than she had in the first.
Yeah, but, let me call it what it is. This is kind of a boys' movie, right? I mean, to have a girl do it, well, they actually do that. I'm kind of shocked. But I wouldn't have thought that, they would have given her a sword and let Gorgo go to town.
Yeah, it's surprising that having like this hard-boiled narration going on, that's just a thing that I guess if we get a 303, like someone's going to have to do that role. My problem isn't that it's the queen doing it. It's just like, look, none of that dialogue is usable in that Xerxes graphic novel, but I miss just that hyper masculinity. I don't know if they shy away from it or if the writers for this one just aren't as good as matching Frank Miller, but I miss that part. Like, if you're going to do this narration, I want it as overwrought as it was in that first film.
I feel like this narration is way overwrought.
Well, let's face it, this movie does back away from the hypermasculinity. I feel like several choices made in this movie were made as a course correction to some of the criticism the first one got for sexism and xenophobia and...
Okay, because I got lots of complaints about this one.
I don't know. I clearly hear somebody shouting, fuck those muscle-bound boy lovers. Like, they're not going to completely walk away from it, but I hear what you're saying.
Oh yeah, she's like, you're gonna play with your cock while you watch our boys fight, or whatever that line is, like when he goes to Sparta one time.
Yeah, I think they know who the fans are. I think they know that they have to please the core audience, so they're not going to go woke. But honestly, I attribute it more to the fact that we're in different directorial hands. And who is this guy? No Moro. He's a real person. He started out in commercials, which makes sense. Music videos. You think of someone that makes slick-looking things. But then he did like this Alexander Payne like family comedy called Smart People. Dennis Quaid.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, exactly. It died on the vine.
Yeah, I've heard of it, and I thought about watching it, but I never actually did. It's got a good cast. Dennis Quaid, Thomas Hayden Church. So I considered watching that when it was new. What I know about this guy is he was on deck to direct Ring 2 back in the early 2000s, and then he left that project. And he wouldn't direct again until Smart People. So was he right to walk away from Ring 2? We haven't reviewed it.
Yeah, same choice. He was given Die Hard 5, the one in Russia, and he chose this one instead. It's just a weird resume of just like slick commercials, indie comedy. Now you want to be an action guy, and then afterwards he won't work again until he remakes Watership Down, which is an animated film about killer bunnies.
Yes.
Like, just where are you? What do you want to accomplish in life? I can't understand this guy. But then again, I think he's AI. I think that this is all made up. I don't think there's anyone named Nomura.
No, I'm looking at his photo, and I saw him talk in the commentary.
AI.
Could be AI generated.
AI. I'm telling you, it's not real.
He is an Israeli national who came to the States and I guess made friends with Zack Snyder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, could have been anyone. Throw a dart at a director's board meeting, and that is the person that's directing this movie. It doesn't have the same passion. I'm agreeing with you guys. It doesn't feel driven by the same machismo. And I believe Zack Snyder, believed in that. And that's kind of what gave the movie the energy. We will have many of the same kinds of stylish, slow-mo, blood spurting. I mean, they don't back away from what made 300, but it doesn't have the same kick.
I have to ask, was this a 3D release? Because that blood is so globulous. I gotta imagine it was supposed to like float in front of you. Like, it was distracting, not because there was so much blood, but because it was just, I don't know, so thick, and just the way they animated it. Like, I did not like it. It just too much. Cut down on the amount. It lost its power.
Yeah, when I ordered this on Blu-ray, I accidentally ordered the 3D Blu-ray.
Okay.
So this was in 2014. 3D was still a big thing, and 3D Blu-rays were still being released for home media. I did not watch this in 3D, but it was a 3D job.
Yeah, and it looks like it. I mean, yeah, as Jacob says, that it's so pronounced that it feels cheesy, the way things come at you. I mean, I think the other one had seams, but I wouldn't say that in the 7 years they pioneered this technology, this green screen look, that it's particularly better looking or more captivating, or I think it looks a little worse, actually.
Yeah, but I am also shocked that they were ambitious enough to do a movie on some kind of water. I don't know if they ever were on water, but they have to pretend to be, and that's always ambitious for a Hollywood production.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think they ever were on water. Every behind-the-scenes thing I saw was definitely on blue and green screens.
Okay, I take it back then.
I'll say this, it doesn't look that much different from the first film, and I wonder if some of that is intentional, like they didn't want to improve it. I think you could take these two films and splice them together and not really have a noticeable difference. I would say whoever's doing art direction in these films is more important than whoever's directing these films.
Yeah.
As long as you have the sound muted, because, like, Themistocles, like, this is no Leonidas. Like, I never get tough guy. Maybe that's part of the course correction, and he's Athenian, not a Spartan, so maybe they're trying to draw some distinction, but I'm not following this guy into battle.
Totally. They're definitely saying that the other Greeks are not as macho as those Spartans.
Yeah, I had to laugh in the featurette where they're talking about getting the people muscled and ripped for this movie. They had to find a different workout routine because they shouldn't have the same ripped look as Spartans.
Oh my gosh.
But they had to have a different ripped look.
Yeah, they're not as buff. It's true. They definitely aren't. Sullivan Stapleton does not look as jacked as Gerard.
Well, you are saying who is Nomuro. I'm going to ask, who is Sullivan Stapleton?
I don't know anyone.
That doesn't sound like a fake name. It sounds like the guy who's handling my investment banking, though.
Yeah, he had a hit show, hit in air quotes, I never saw. I believe it was on Cinemax, and it was called Strike Back.
Never heard of it.
About like two dudes that were doing something with espionage. It ran for several years. He was also in a Australian film that got some attention. I think it was his breakout film, although he wasn't the breakout character. I saw it, Animal Kingdom, which eventually ended up becoming a show. It was kind of like a take on Point Break, honestly.
Well, I don't want to diss him because I did look him up and he is a working actor. He is constantly working and has been for like 30 years. So good for him. That is not an easy gig to keep going from TV show to TV show and a few movies in between. But I don't know who this guy is. And I'm not excited, as you say, Jacob, to follow him into battle.
Sure. I mean, every time Jason Statham says no to a piece of shit, they probably hand it to this guy. I mean, he's just like a stand-in. It looks like somebody that would literally just stand in as a place marker until they set the lights for Jason Statham. But yes, he is our hero.
And I think they're trying to draw the line that the Athenians, they're no Spartans, but they're the smart ones. They use strategy. They're not just going to like use brute force, because we see this thing where they have this Athenian shock combat where they're just going to charge these ships as they're just coming on shore and they're not even ready for them. And I'm watching this and I'm like, if you just liked 300 for the fighting, like this is more or less holding up. Like I like this opening battle.
It's more or less the same, but what is it selling us? The last movie sold us suicide is painless. Suicide is beautiful. You want to die on the battlefield looking this beautiful and jacked. And this movie tries a trick. I hear it in the Gorgo, I think, overheated dialogue. She at one point said something that made me rewind. She goes, "All thoughts of glory are gone." And I'm like, are you kidding me? This whole thing is just glorified violence. Don't tell me that this is some gritty, realistic war movie. But what she's trying to say is they're giving up on the idea of fighting for fighting's sake. The Athenians are fighting for this experiment called democracy.
Democracy.
And so when you put the subtitle together, Rise of the Empire, and you hear that line, what they're trying to tell us is this is the story of how 5 little provinces became Greece.
Oh, there's so much debate and discussion about unification. No, I don't want unification. Yes, unification. Like so much throughout this. Yeah, the empire rising is Greece.
And to make that interesting for American audiences, that democracy word is, red meat to some political circles. So they're definitely playing to their base about this is where democracy began. And if these people don't win, then your democracy dies.
But I did find it interesting that we are opening with this battle that takes place 10 years before the main combat that we're going to be focusing on. And in the previous film, they did completely disregard Athens. Philosophers and boy lovers is what the Athenians were referred to as. But here we're going to see that the Athenians can kick some ass 10 years before the Persians did do an invasion. And here are Athenians, including Themistocles, fighting them all off.
Yeah, we're at Marathon, which the only thing I know about Marathon is that's where the race came from, that somebody had to run 26 miles to go tell somebody and drop dead.
Yeah.
And they dramatized that in the comic book. Here, that story is not told, maybe because it doesn't fit into the narrative of watch democracy come together. What we see is this is the grievance that echoes throughout history. I don't know, Gorgo really just lays it on. That Themistocles picks up a bow and arrow and shoots the father of Xerxes. And because he doesn't kill the child that's standing next to him, that's his one regret. Damn it, I should have killed the boy whose, quote, eyes have the stink of destiny. I'll tell you what has stink. This script is awful.
What is shocking to me, because the way this read, it's going to come back up, this theme. Should I have just killed this teenager
Yes.
So he doesn't cause any problems. It's shocking to me because I didn't think we were going to get that early 2000 Mideast. Like, it's 2014. We've forgotten we're at war. We've been at war so long.
Yes.
And you're bringing up this idea of preemptive strikes. Like,
yeah,
that was a big deal in the early days that Bush wanted to do. And like, that's how this whole thing comes off. Like, yeah, we should have just wiped out all those Middle Eastern people at the beginning.
Yeah, I was thinking about that and thinking about why I'm not incensed, electrified, stirred by this stoking. And the answer is because, yes, it's coming out at a time where politically I didn't feel like we were investing in a war we couldn't win. We were retreating. And so it didn't feel like propaganda. It didn't feel relevant. And so maybe that's part of why this opening is just not grabbing me the same way.
And to me, it's just shocking because I expected them to get rid of the propaganda stuff because that was a big hot button issue. Maybe you keep the controversy in it, though, to get people's butts in seats.
Here's what's interesting to me, though, is that I kind of thought this was going to be a Xerxes film. We see Themistocles at the beginning killing Xerxes' father, and we see Xerxes there with shaggy hair and a big beard, looking completely different from the supermodel pierced god that was in the first film. And I thought this whole film might be the story as told from Xerxes' point of view. We're going to see Xerxes take the throne and mourn his father. And here's this new character, Artemisia, played by Eva Green, who I do know thanks to James Bond films, and she's Vesper.
The best Bond girl.
And I'm thinking that the two of them may have a power struggle or something because she seems to be almost sisterly to Xerxes here and almost undermining him. Like, she's the one who's whispering, "You're not good enough. You need to go and become a god."
Not almost. She makes him and she puppets him. She tells him what to say. He is nothing but the mouthpiece for the real power. We are finding out that, yes, behind every drag queen, 50-foot tall monster, there's Eva Green. This was a bold choice. I would have never guessed that they would have had a female warrior be the villain for a 300 sequel.
See, and this is what I was reading as, are we trying to course correct here? We'll put this woman who in this film is a Greek actually as the bad guy, so it's not focused on the Middle Eastern people. Xerxes is going to be off doing something else. That was my initial reading, but like, wow, the places this film goes really surprises me.
See, this is what I'm saying when I asked if there was a course correction from the previous one. We're going to have a powerful, capable female. Yes, she's villainous, but she is going to be in charge and strategically smart and capable in combat. And yes, she is Greek. And she is based on a actual historical figure who did fight with Xerxes against the Greeks, even though she herself was a Greek. There is truth in here.
Okay, can we discuss her backstory? Because for some reason, Greek soldiers in some battle, even though her family and she's Greek, they kill and rape the women and then like repeatedly rape her, throw her on a ship where she's repeatedly raped and then tossed her for dead. We're supposed to be against this person? Like, now you've made me hate the Greeks. Like, random Greek soldiers, like the ones we're watching fighting, created this villain.
Yeah, but they were Greek hoplites. What the hell's a hoplite?
That's just a normal Greek soldier. I looked it up. It's just a normal thing.
But they make it sound like a Greek we don't deal with anymore. Like, they distance themselves, and we are not to think that any of the people that we're rooting for did this to her.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, some awful people turned her into this creature of vengeance, and now, yeah, she is smoky-eyed and ready to castrate. I don't know, Artie. Here's the thing. You could make the argument that they made her quote-unquote capable, or you could just say they've traded the xenophobia for misogyny, because this is all going to be about rooting for some bitch to get her comeuppance.
See, I just couldn't decide, and I blame this movie for it. I feel like its storytelling is such that I don't hate Artemisia.
No!
And I'm wondering, is she sort of an anti-hero in this? Am I supposed to be conflicted in this battle?
Let me put it this way. I like her a whole lot more than Xerxes. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that I like Eva Green as an actress. Again, Casino Royale, she is the best Bond girl Bond has ever had. And she's fantastic in the film. She's gone on to do, mixed results. But I've seen her do good work in other things. The reason why you might feel that way, that there's more care about this character, is because we just have the biggest star of this movie. The only one that has gone on to do anything of worth. Sorry, Strike Back. But yeah, I like Eva Green. So yeah, I would be fine if she were the total focus. That we've got to root for this Sullivan Stapleton guy. Yeah, that's a harder ask.
Yeah, I really thought at the beginning, when we're seeing all this backstory on Xerxes and Artemisia, that we were going to focus on them. And so when we return to Greece and Themistocles 10 years later, and it's just so clumsy because he's going to go to Sparta to try to get Spartan help. And wouldn't you know it, this is right after Gerard Butler went to see the Oracle. He's just off screen there.
Yeah, I love that. He's always 10 minutes late. Like, Leonidas has always just left. I just cracked up when they dropped that line. Oh, he's off to see the Oracle. Of course he is.
And is Gorgo his old girlfriend? They seem to have some kind of flirtation here.
They do play it that way, yeah.
Yeah, and she's definitely vulgar in the way, the stroke his cock line and watch real men fight. Again, they would love to have Gerard back, right? Gerard didn't want to do it?
His name was not mentioned in any of the conversations I found. I wonder if it's just because he was dead and they wanted to tell a different story, but I think a cameo from him, maybe he didn't want to get that buff just to do a cameo, but a cameo from him would have helped.
CGI. They could have made it work. He could have been in modest shape and they could have fixed it. But yes, Themistocles is the one that started all this war. It's his fault. And again, I think it's strange that the argument being made is not that he shot the arrow that killed the guy, but he didn't shoot 2 arrows. He should have killed a little boy. Well, I guess he wasn't a boy, but the son as well.
The Persians were on the attack. They were repelling a Persian attack. And so yes, that you didn't kill all the military commanders is a bit of a failure. I agree. If you had killed King Xerxes before, there would have been no need for 300 Spartans to sacrifice themselves.
Right. Bin Laden, right? You don't leave Saddam Hussein. We have our own equivalents about the Middle East that this could be tied to. But again, I'm not really thinking politically watching this movie. It feels in the same spirit and yet somehow not as relevant. And so it's just easier for all of this to roll over. I do think his transformation is funny. It's one of the few supernatural moments we get, that Xerxes ends up going into this cave full of monsters and getting into this pool.
Yeah, he goes into that pool and comes out a real god, they're telling us?
At least taller. He becomes 9 foot tall and hairless and
a lot of bling.
Yeah.
Yeah, talks with like the Jolly Green Giant. Yeah, I feel like he's supernatural.
Like, he sold his soul to the devil.
But they do walk away from that. Like, the last movie had literal monsters that literally said these people from this region have fangs and forearms and look like Mortal Kombat creatures. And that does seem to have been walked back some. Again, just by having it Artemisia, a Greek, is now making it Greek versus Greek instead of Greek versus Persia.
Yeah, we'll get some immortals, but I don't even think they're lizard men.
Yeah, we've taken away our unreliable narrator. The last one was told by the one-eyed guy, Dilios, to all of those troops, and so you were able to go fantastical. This one, it seems like we're getting a more third-person point of view. This is not one person recounting the story. It is us watching it, and so we don't have as many fantastical elements.
Right. And so we have this dude, Silius, who was apparently a spy on Artemisia's ship. They are cool ships. I will give the Persians this. If we're just talking about art direction and design,
yeah,
Persia, right? These boats are cool.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Greece.
No, and again, I'm just impressed that we're not on another battlefield. That's what I was expecting, that this is going to be about seafare.
Mm-hmm.
Seafaring wars, like, I don't know, maybe it won't be good, but like, it's actually got my attention because we're going somewhere new.
Yeah. He jumps ship. He's the one that comes back, tells everyone kind of her backstory, the way that it is. And yes, we find out that Themistocles is now going to be a brilliant naval officer because he tells all these people to get in wooden ships and ram these giant, awesome Persian boats.
They're weak in the middle, Stuart.
Okay. So is the script.
It's not just the middle.
Yeah, the script isn't strong around the edges either, but naval battle, we're getting something different than we got before. I wish it looked better. You know, I know they didn't have a lot of sets in the last one and they kept reusing them and things, but here it's almost abstract. You just get a lot of close-ups of people with cloudy blackness behind them and some CGI shots of waves. It's not bad looking, but at no point do I get excited with this naval warfare.
Yeah, part of the problem is Themistocles is going to give this supposed, alleged, rousing speech, and it's just boring. It's like, have you considered the why of the battle? It's about the why. Like, look, I'm sorry I made fun of Bill Pullman during Independence Day. That's a rousing speech compared to anything this Greek leader does.
I am glad you're finally apologizing to Independence Day. It is overdue.
Yeah, don't apologize to Independence Day. That's not warranted.
Listen to the context that it was in.
But you can't apologize to Gerard Butler because Gerard Butler had all of these, rousing, let's get him moments. And some of it's just star power, right? Gerard killed in that role, whatever you feel about it. And this guy is not up to the task. They should have recast.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a big problem with this film in my mind. He does not carry this film. He does not carry my allegiance the way Gerard Butler did in the first film.
Eva Green is powerful and he's weak.
I mean, with Gerard, I'm looking at those abs. With this leader, I'm wondering, is that cape, did they iron out all the wrinkles of the tablecloth they're using for your costume there? He makes it look worse. This is not a person I'm following into battle.
Yeah. And the battles, they have the moment take a still frame. They look like good comic book panels. I do think there's an artistry to some of this sea warfare. I just don't buy the idea that he's a military genius because he rammed him in the middle. And then for an encore, he leads them into some really tight canyons where people can jump down off the cliffs into the boats. That's not brilliance to me.
And during this, we're also getting a repeat from the previous film. If you remember, there was the one military leader whose son had come to battle. It was the eldest son. You were going to get some of that. And of course, the heartbreak later on when that son predictably died. Here we have a similar thing where a guy is sneaking into battle, even though his father doesn't want him to. One of the ship captains is like, you come with us and your father won't know and you can be a good hero.
Callisto, yeah.
Yeah, there's a very boring scene earlier where he's got to earn his place at the table, and that's what he's trying to do here.
Jack O'Connell has gone on and worked. I have seen this guy. He was in Unbroken, 71. He was on an English soap opera called Skins for a little bit. I feel like he's comparable to Michael Fassbender. And yeah, kind of a similar supporting role here. You pay attention to him because, yes, can the boy become a man? Will he be able to do this? What will his father say when he sees him on the ship? In the second battle, it all comes to being. It's some kind of plot to keep this thing going.
It just feels like a retread from the first film. And you mentioned Fassbender. Man, am I missing Fassbender in this.
Yeah.
Fassbender was a nice anchor in that last film. I think it helped because I really know him, whereas I didn't when I first saw 300. But he was funny, he was personable. When you weren't with Gerard Butler and you were with the Spartans, we were following him a lot. And there's nobody in Themistocles' crew that I give one rat's ass about.
Callisto doesn't work for you at all? I mean, he's the closest.
It just feels like such a retread, so I do not care about him. I feel like I know where that story is going.
No, I agree. And caring is not something I've ever had in these movies. But I will say that my favorite scene in any 300 movie comes after these first two battles when, the Stapleton guy gets invited onto the boat and Eva Green goes for it. She wants to have him working for her. She's had to throw one general off wearing some cement shoes and another one got stabbed in the second battle. She wants this military genius and who's she got to fuck to get him?
It's funny to me because throughout the film, she is constantly looking to hire. She is recruiting. She is constantly like, who will be my second in command? She really needs a better LinkedIn profile for this position because she is just not able to find anybody who is going to agree to be her right-hand leader. And so if you can't find one from within, if you can't hire from within the company, look for external recruits. So yeah, she's going to bring Themistocles on board, and the two of them are going to have some kind of sex romp. I mean,
It's fun. You gotta admit, it's very funny.
No, okay, I did not expect, like, it feels like a long, maybe it's 3 minutes long, but it is hardcore fucking. Forget 50 Shades of Grey. Like, my note was like, this is harder than anything you'll get in that BDSM trilogy.
Yeah.
I could not believe this sex scene. This is like 80s stuff, so you gotta have that sex scene because it was hard to get porn back then, so you throw it in your movie a little bit.
Yeah, like it's a Caligula moment in the Swords and Sandals movie. And my favorite part is like she's got this war map, and then all of a sudden she's on top of him, then he's choking her, got her down, and they cut outside to the guards that are listening.
Yes.
And they're wearing those frowny masks.
With the moaning!
Yeah, they hear the moaning and they're wearing those frowny masks, and it's just, that image alone just made me laugh. It's very memeable. Yeah, I really just enjoy the campiness of this moment. It feels so out of place.
I was shocked to see Eva Green doing such graphic nudity for, honestly, this film, where I feel like she used to be a Bond girl and now she's kind of slumming it.
Yeah, well, it has been 7 years for her, too.
And it makes me just dislike Themistocles even more. After her backstory, look, I know I'm throwing like modern day morality into this, but like, you had a deal. If you fucked her, you had to join her. And then he broke the deal. You are an unhonorable man. Like, you received the rewards, but did not do your duties.
I disagree, Jacob. I mean, I never saw that a condition of sex was that he joined her. It was mid-sex.
That's what she made very implicit.
It was mid-sex when she's like, will you join me? And he's like, no, and then stops fucking her. I mean, I don't see it through the perspective you do. I don't see anything wrong with his actions here.
I'm kind of with you, Arnie. I agree that I feel like they're working it out actually through the intercourse. That sometimes he's pushing her, you come to my side, you give up, and, you know, he's coming in from the back, and she seems to be like, okay, I will relent.
It's a shocking, funny scene. I'm not going to clutch my pearls too much over, but it's just like, this is a person that was victimized over and over by the Greeks, and it's because I like her more than Themistocles. I'm sympathizing for her.
Yeah, I agree. In the end, she's the only one that I care about on screen. Just to preview everything, she's the only one that I'm paying attention to. And whether I'm supposed to hate her or not, I don't. I just, for whatever reason.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think she's got cool ships. I love the fact that she's the brains behind the operation. I wish she'd dump the mummy or whatever the hell that's... Again, it's weird that Xerxes is playing no role in any of this.
No, he's like standing on the mountain watching the battle go on.
Yeah, I guess he's, supposedly busy with Gerard Butler. This is still the interquel, whatever we're calling this. It's still going on concurrently with the last movie in this moment. But very soon, it will move into sequel mode. He says no, he goes back home, and we get one more big battle in which she comes for them spewing oil. And she's got these suicide bombers that got, like, candles or something. They're gonna ride up and burn the boat.
That's what I'm saying. This feels like it's really drawing more connections. Arnie, I think you said with 300, you're like, oh, I didn't realize the Persians were the people we were fighting in the Mideast at that time. Like, and you could kind of play it that way. This one, they're doing the beheadings, they're doing the suicide bombings, even though, like, they shouldn't be able to do it in these days. I guess they still had gunpowder and stuff, but it feels like they're making those connections more, and yet it's a weird time to even, like, draw your attention to that.
Right.
Yeah, these are flaming balls of tar is what it is. So there's no gunpowder.
But there's a dude that blows himself up.
Yeah, the swimmers are like guys that have suicide vests.
They shoot an arrow into them and they blow up.
But there is some sloth character who is like, they gotta kill because he's the bald mutant toxic avenger on the boat slinging the tar balls you're talking about.
Yeah, they don't have crazy animals, but they still have mutants.
Yeah, I guess that's the one monster we do see.
And this was kind of cool. The fake fire, it doesn't excite me, but it doesn't look terrible. What's funny to me is, they take out that one mutant guy, and it does more damage to the Persian ships than it ever does to the Athenian ships. It's like, it wasn't that well thought out of a plan.
That's why I'm not sure Artemisia is this military genius she professes to be. I like her, but yeah, that's kind of dumb. I mean, where do you think it's going to go? If you're spewing oil and you strike a match, yeah, it might burn the other ships in the harbor, but it's coming for you. Also worth pointing out that Silas dies. They do an inverse. It's not the son that dies, the father dies this time. So the son is going to have to avenge him. In this moment, a lot of people die.
And he leaves that mysterious message that the son's going to have to learn about later if he survives.
Right, but a lot of people are dead, and we do see our lead sort of feeling guilty as he washes up on shore, and literally the waters have turned red. Like, everyone in his crew appears to be dead, and he is now realizing that his military genius was killing too many of their own.
And Artemisia thinks he's dead too. She thinks the victory is theirs. She's going to go off and hang out with Xerxes for a while, even though we never saw that in the previous film. Whereas Themistocles is going to go off and try to find reinforcements. So we're in the sequel portion now, right?
Yeah. You know who else comes up at this time? The Hunchback.
Yes, I could not believe this. He comes back in that same goofy outfit.
And I thought you got to redeem him, right? We're going to try to, if the idea is rolling back the sort of un-PC elements of the last movie, well, you don't make this mutant guy so reprehensible, right? He just wanted to be a soldier after all. No, he's going to take Leonidas' sword and at the behest of Xerxes, go and lord it over all of Greece. He doesn't get a redemption.
No, it is a redemption because he does go and say, hey, I betrayed Greece. I deserve to die. And it's at Themistocles' bidding that he's going to go and tell Xerxes, hey, Themistocles is alive, and help kind of set a trap, I think, for Artemisia.
I mean, he's going to tell Artemisia that the Greek fleets are defenseless. I don't know if he was helping the Greeks lure them into a trap or if he's just betraying them again, though, because he'll just leave the movie after that.
Yeah, hard to say. And are they defenseless? I can't even tell. I mean, there was a lot of people dead in the water, but he's gone back to Sparta and begged Gorgo to help out.
For like the third or fourth time, it feels like we're always going back to Sparta to beg for those ships.
Yeah. Dilios is still there. Like David Wenham, he's definitely not working out. I don't even know why he's there. He's just standing in the background. He's not even giving good speeches.
No.
But Spartans are Spartans. They don't care about democracy. They don't care about unity. They're the holdout.
Even though Leonidas kept telling us that he loved democracy in that last film.
Did he? He loved Sparta.
Yeah, he loved democracy more than those superstitious monks that live on the hill and that pray to their gods. Democracy, reason, logic.
Yes, it was definitely a pushback on mysticism. I heard coded into that because he looked so Jesus-like. It was a way of saying Western belief is stronger than Eastern belief. It definitely felt like a culture war throwdown. But I don't know that he loved the conception of democracy as it would have been outlined by Plato and Greeks that are not Spartans. At any rate, yeah, we're at the climax/sequel portion where Artemisia is basically the only villain that's going to get a comeuppance. I thought you would have this movie to kill Xerxes, but he is just sort of hanging in the background, overly confident and looking foolish, and Artemisia has to clean up his mess.
Right, she's got her navy ready for battle, and Themistocles is going in with just what few ships he has left, and somehow, and I kind of rewound to see if I could make this out, these ships are getting so close to each other that Themistocles is going to jump on Artemisia's ship, and they're going to have a sword fight. Just make it a land battle if this is what you want to have happen. This does not make sense for boats.
I think you're right. They never went on water in this thing.
No, horses are running around. Yeah, there's not, yeah. They did not get horses in the ocean. But help me out then, because I'm confused. Is it a trap? Is there some kind of smartness in tricking her here? It just seems like she fails because she loses the sword fight.
Yeah, that's how I read it.
No, what really happens is Gorgo shows up along with a whole bunch of other boats.
I get that the Spartans show up, but she's defeated at this point, Artemisia.
Yeah, she's already dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like the Athenians were saying, we need Spartan power in order to win, and at the very last minute, Gorgo. This was not expected, right? Lena Headey. Is she doing this on Game of Thrones? I never really watched that show. Is she known for being a musketeer? This felt out of place.
I wouldn't necessarily call her a musketeer. She was definitely a ruler and a schemer in Game of Thrones, but I didn't see her particularly commanding armies.
Yeah, well, she's like Zorro at this end here, and that felt out of character.
Yeah, she's doing the Leonidas thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They literally are giving her the "this is Sparta" speeches and making her do the battle. And almost, not quite, it feels like she's the one that gets retribution for her husband. Hard to read. But again, who's the main character here? I think they all know that this Stapleton is a flop.
They gotta remind you, this is Sparta, even if it's about Athenians.
Yeah, I actually felt bad when Artemisia gets killed by Themistocles at the end. It's like, I know this is where it's going, but I was rooting for Artemisia more than I was Themistocles. I like Artemisia more than I like Themistocles.
Yeah.
I think she has cooler troops, she has cooler ships, and so once she's dead, any interest I had in this movie's gone too.
And weird that there's this dangling thread. It feels like there should be a part 3 coming along where they finally get Xerxes. That he is still alive, that the Hunchback is still alive, that, okay, the empire might be rising, and in this case we're talking about the Greeks come together, but it doesn't feel like we have the last battle yet. This feels like a part 2 of a trilogy.
And then at the very end, we're going to get some Sabbath because you got to rock when you're leaving the theater. Is this a remix though? Because I like War Pigs, I like Sabbath, but this sounded like shit to me.
It is remixed.
Okay, it sounded different than the version on Paranoid, and I was so mad. I'm like, this is like one of the greatest anti-war songs ever, and you're gonna play during a war propaganda movie? Like, it made me angry a little bit. I was upset.
It did seem tone deaf in more ways than one.
You could be upset, but Black Sabbath would have to give them the rights to do that, so...
Oh, I know, I understand that.
Somebody sold out in the band, just saying.
We will take all of your money. We don't care how you use our songs.
They probably didn't even know what the movie was.
Yeah.
I don't know, Ozzy does love the History Channel, though.
I'm not sure I know what the movie was.
But do you know if you liked it? Jacob, Stewart, do you recommend 300 Rise of an Empire? Jacob.
This is a weird one. It's different than what I expected in that it's pretty capable as a junky B action movie. Like, you're going to get some battles, you're going to get some fighting. The problem is, like, the best fight is that shock battle at the beginning for me. I appreciate they try to do some stuff on the ocean or green screen on the ocean and really change it up with it being about naval wars. Like, that was interesting. But here's my problem is I don't want to watch a movie about a bad guy named Themistocles. I want to watch the movie about the hero Artemisia. I can't endorse like, hey, go out and seek this movie because I think it really fails at setting up who the hero is supposed to be and makes you really sympathize with the villain. So it's unsatisfying when she dies. And like I said, this is not a great structure film. It doesn't look any better than that original 300. Like I wouldn't watch this to get that just same visual atmosphere that I feel with that one. Like it's a lesser film and it really fails to make me care or want to go on the hero's journey because I'm on the villain side. So it's going to be a not recommend.
Stewart.
Yeah, well, let's just remind folks, I didn't like the last one, so that they're trying to recreate what they had 7 years ago is not where I want to go. I guess the surprise is there are some improvements. One improvement, I like the villain this time. They have minimized the Xerxes character, to my surprise, and allowed Eva Green to have a fun, campy role, and one hell of a sex scene that, yes, like Jacob, I'm rooting for her. My eyes are on her. I think she carries this film. When she is on screen, I go, this movie is better than the first one. And when she is not on the screen, and particularly when Gorgo is monologuing,
yes,
all that terrible dialogue, I say, this is so much worse.
Stewart, there is justice in the wind. There is vengeance in the wind.
Yeah, so much about the wind. And, I just feel like in the end, there's a lot of hot air. Hot air instead of hot gates. Yeah, say what you will about that first movie. It is in your face and perhaps offensive in all kinds of ways, but it makes you feel something. And this movie's kind of limp. Like, if Eva Green's not on the screen, I got no feeling about it. It just feels like a bad idea. You killed everybody in the first movie. There wasn't anything to come back to in the second one. And then you you didn't even beat the bad guy. You know, you invented a new bad guy and killed her instead of dealing with the bad guy from the first movie. So I don't know what this movie is, but I can't say that it's any better than 300, and that means it's a not recommend.
I liked the original 300. I think it's a striking movie. I think it's full of action. You got Greeks kicking ass and incredible, if not photoreal, visuals. There wasn't much in the way of character arcs or depth, but it was a surface level good time. And so I didn't think Rise of an Empire had a very high bar in order to match that. And I think the sequel tries to be the same thing. It doesn't lack in spectacle. I think the visuals stylistically match Snyder's original film. And like I said earlier, I think you could intercut the two to be chronological and not notice a change. But I think you'd really like all that Gerard Butler stuff a lot more than you'd like the Themistocles stuff. And so I really had to think, why does 300 succeed but Rise of an Empire fail? And I do think that a big part of it is that we don't have a movie star. Gerard Butler had that ephemeral quality that made you like him, that drew your eyes to him whenever he was on screen. We could have a debate if his future career matches that movie star power, but he had it in 300.
I don't think it's much of a debate.
I mean, we got to do Geostorm someday.
Yeah, right.
Sullivan Stapleton lacks that quality. He's no fun in this movie. I never root for him. Second, I think an outmatched naval battle is just harder to make exciting than an outnumbered ground battle. The water fights never really sold it to me that Themistocles was so outmatched. I got it from the dialogue, but the visuals, I never really felt like it was a one-sided fight. You can do this with CGI armies showing thousands of people and giant orcs and things coming up against your puny 300 men. And finally, I think they tried to course correct the previous film by giving us a central Persian villain for us to hate instead of an entire race of people. But so much time is spent on Artemisia's backstory. At the end, yeah, is she supposed to be sympathetic? Am I supposed to hate her? Am I supposed to root for her? I certainly like her a lot better than I like Themistocles. So the result is a movie that's muddled and it lacks even the base pleasures found in the original. The Empire may rise, but my interest in this movie never did. It's a not recommend.
Yeah, I think we all saw the same movie, and the only difference is we didn't agree last time, but you guys are saying still fun to watch the first one. This one is a dip in quality.
Once is enough.
Yeah, I feel like it was a novelty that in 2014 was well past its sell-by date. And Eva Green tries, but can't give us enough new to make it fun again.
And you did say this movie made enough that there could be sequels. There hasn't been any recent talk of it, thank God. I don't see us having to pull this back out. But post Man of Steel, around 2016, Snyder said that he'd like to revisit the world of 300, but not be ancient Greece. Like to have a 300 movie based on the American Revolutionary War.
What?
Or the Alamo.
What?
Or a battle in China.
I am about to just walk away because I'm so mad right now.
What? Okay. Okay.
300 Patriots. Oh my gosh, I'm so angry.
Which wouldn't be a sequel. Let's just be very clear. That has nothing to do with 300 Spartans. And it would be really hard for them to try and it would feel like that Frank Miller comic, frankly, if you were to jump around in history like that. But yeah, you could, in this style, I think it has been done. I think 300 invented a way of looking at period films that made it hip. And I think we did see for a while other eras of warfare try to do that 300 thing. But yes, is Zack Snyder the one to make a hit Revolutionary War movie? You know, that's always a tough sell outside of America.
And it's going to be like 8 hours long and then a 16-hour director's cut. No thanks.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he does next, I'll be honest. But I know what we're doing next. We're going to go back 14 years to the granddaddy of all the modern swords and sandals films. Probably should have covered it beforehand, but hey, Gladiator 2 comes out next week, so we're going to cover Gladiator.
I have not seen this film since it was out on DVD in 2001, but I have great memories of this film. I remember loving it in theaters and watching it several times on DVD and eating up hours of bonus features and a commentary and everything when this came out. It should be said, I was unemployed in 2001. I was a full-time student. I had a lot of time to spend, but I spent quite a lot of it with Gladiator.
Yeah, you're gonna love listening to all those commentaries now when you got a job and everything.
So I'm excited to be revisiting this film. It's been a long time, and I gotta be honest, my excitement for the sequel is mid, and so I hope seeing the original will kind of spark some excitement there.
Yeah, agreed. Ridley Scott has made some of my favorite films and some of my not favorite films. And honestly, this one was not one of my favorites, but I am curious to go back to it. I have not seen it in 24 years. So yes, bring on Gladiator, bring on Gladiator 2 in the next couple weeks. And in the meantime, we're wrapping up alien body horror this Friday, The Host. I know there's several movies called The Host, but this one is actually written by Stephanie Meyer of Twilight fame. Saoirse Ronan is actually going to try to date her alien parasite.
I was going to ask that. That's what I figured. Like an alien and a human, like the pod and the person have to fall in love in this, right? It's Stephanie Meyer.
Yeah, it's a lot of double dating.
Oh, it's a weird love triangle because the pod is in love with one person, but the host is in love with another person.
Mm-hmm.
And there's chrome cars. It is a movie.
Hopefully no one falls in love with babies in this one.
It's definitely got stuff to talk about, and we will be doing it this Friday. We're coming up on the end of our summer-fall donation drive, so if you haven't gotten in on that, with our reviews of all the Crow films, our reviews of the X trilogy, Ty West's horror slasher series, and our reviews of 4 Invasion of the Body Snatchers adaptations and 4 other Body Snatcher adjacent films, you can donate now and get all of those, plus other retrospectives that aren't going to be available for much longer, like Alien and Planet of the Apes and Rosemary's Baby and The Omen, all these series that had new installments come out over the past few months. You can find the details at nowplayingpodcast.com/donate. So thank you for listening to Now Playing. Thank you for supporting our show. Jacob Stewart, thank you for going into battle with me. And until next time, to victory!
We march. For our lands, for our families, for our freedoms. We march.
Thank you for listening to this Now Playing Podcast movie review.
A story that will be told for 1,000 years.
We hope you enjoyed the show.
The praise and glory were heaped upon him.
Help us spread the word about this show by leaving a 5-star review on Stitcher, Podbean, iTunes, or your podcast store of choice.
Your joys will be endless.
Want more reviews like this one? In the archives section of NowPlayingPodcast.com, you'll find more than 1,000 in-depth movie reviews from our panel of hosts.
Yes, I want it all.
And come back to NowPlayingPodcast.com next Tuesday for another all-new movie review podcast.
Come back with your shield. Or on it.
Support from listeners like you keeps Now Playing Podcast on the air.
You will carry a message for me.
You can donate directly by tapping the support button at NowPlayingPodcast.com.
Freedom isn't free at all, but it comes with the highest of costs. The cost of blood.
Need more Now Playing? Subscribe to our In Focus weekly newsletter for exclusive digital download giveaways, celebrity interviews, behind-the-scenes insights, and more. Sign up through the subscribe page on our website and get it delivered to your inbox every Friday.
My king, your humble servant, brings you news.
You can also compare notes with us on Letterboxd. Go to letterboxd.com/nowplaying to see what our hosts are watching when we're not recording podcasts. And follow Now Playing on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel.
Such an offer only a madman would refuse.
Now Playing Podcast is produced by Arnie Carvalho.
You're no god. You're just a man.
Associate produced by Jason Latham.
You are a good friend, but a better captain, there is none.
Now Playing is edited by Heath and Arnie.
This will not be over quickly. You will not enjoy this.
Now Playing credits read by Brock.
Why didn't you just say that to begin with?
The opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual hosts and may not reflect the views of Venganza Media Incorporated.
Oh, I've chosen my words carefully, Persian. Perhaps you should have done the same.
Venganza Media Incorporated is not affiliated with, and this podcast has not been prepared, approved, or licensed by any entity that created the film analyzed herein.
You fight for freedom. I offer freedom without consequence or responsibility.
All movie clips and music included in this podcast are the intellectual property of their respective copyright holders. They are included here for the purpose of review, and no infringement is intended.
And no Spartan, subject or citizen, man or woman, slave or king is above the law.
Now Playing Podcast is an exclusive trademark of and may not be used without the express written permission of Venganza Media Incorporated.
No retreat, no surrender. That is Spartan law.
Now Playing is a Venganza Media production, copyright 2024, and no part of this show may be reproduced, repurposed, or redistributed without the written permission of Venganza Media Incorporated. All rights reserved.
The world will know that free men stood against a tyrant, that few stood against many, and before this battle was over, that even a God-King can bleed.
But I've seen her do good work in other things. She's now Tim Burton's wife, and that condemns her to be in terrible movies like Miss Peregrine.
Ooh.
No, she's not his wife anymore. He's with
Monica.
Yeah.
Whoever was in Beetlejuice.
Oh, yeah, very similar looking.
Aren't they all?
He's got a type.
Yeah, somewhere Helena Bonham Carter is thinking she could have been in this film.